Well, still on Democracy Day, Nigeria, we're now being joined by Sunday Dare, who is the Special Advisor, Media and Public Communications to President Bola Tinubu. To put it in short, presidential spokesperson. Thank you so much for joining us on
Thank you
News
for having
Night.
me. Thank you.
Congratulations on another Democracy Day celebration under President Bola Tinubu. This is the second one.
Absolutely.
But the reactions there are mixed as you listen to the reports from across the country. How does the president truly views the comments, the criticisms that come with being the president of a country like Nigeria? You speak to him. Those conversations he did not include in the 45-minute speech today. Does the president really regard criticisms? Is he aware of them?
Thank you so much. The president is aware of developments around the country. And I dare say in that speech, at some point in that speech, he spoke to the fact that part of democracy is having people give different opinions. And he says, I will make sure that your right to say what you want is defended.
Even though I'm not here to make you happy.
Yeah. Well, politically,
yes,
he qualified that. When you talk about democracy, you have interest. That's why you have political parties. You must defend at all times your political party, your political interest. And to that extent, he said, well, I'm not here to make you happy politically because it's all about politics, the contest for power. But the president is well aware of criticisms, and he spoke to that in his speech, saying, look, you can call me names, you can attack me. I will also make sure that I defend your right under democracy, freedom of speech to say what you want to say. But also when you look at, if you just look at the various parts of that speech, you see the president speak to defend democracy, speak to the fact that he's a committed Democrat. And for the first time, we have the president really coming out to own up to his own democratic credentials, to the role he played in the struggle for democracy. That story had often been told by journalists, by activists, by other people. And like they say in Hausa, Waka happy daddy abakime ita. The song is sweetest in the mouth of its owner. The president today...
Hausa is very good.
Yeah, thank you so much. The president today was very firm, but also was able to speak about his own experience, about the role he played. And for me, and for many Nigerians, that was inspiring.
Right, and that point exactly is what I want to, address. There are many who say that with President Bola Tinubu's democratic credentials, what they have seen as far as human rights, the pushback on dissenting voices, the fading, what seems to be the fading opposition, they're surprised that this is happening on his watch. Now, what exactly is going on? Is he truly a Democrat, or is he an accidental hero of democracy?
President Bola Tinubu, Ahmed Tinubu, was forged in the crucible of the struggle for democracy. I think for the very first time, you have a president who rose through the rank and file, who went through the fire, the thunderstorm, who built a broad network of activists, journalists, and politicians from all sides of the house. All of these have coalesced together for him as president. So you cannot hold him guilty or responsible for the kind of reception and support that he is getting. He's somebody who sowed the seeds for democracy long time ago and watered it for almost 3 decades before he got to this point. That's one. Two, like I've said repeatedly, you have a lot of parties registered by INEC. The president said in that speech that I have not told INEC to stop registering any party because we know in the past we've had presidents who have stopped INEC from registering other political parties. So this is a man who was well prepared for this job. And I think the last 2 years speak volumes to the vision, the clarity of his vision, and the fierceness of his commitment.
Well, if we bring it to the last 2 years, there are those who say Democracy Day is about inclusion, but they wonder why the president's appointment has been reinforcing ethnic bias. Only recently we had the pan-social political group, Afenifere, come to say the president is not a Yoruba president. And that's because of the conversations that are being heard or being held. So critics say he is reinforcing those ethnic biases with his appointments, for instance. How does the presidency react to those claims? And how does he, how does the president himself wish to change the narrative? Is it bothered by them at all?
I think we have, there's a tendency to entertain and celebrate a narrow understanding of national development. When it comes to national development, it goes beyond appointments. Why are people not speaking about the regional equity? We have the Southwest, Southwest Development Commission. That's a decision taken by Mr. President that is far-reaching. Recall several decades back when we had the regions develop at their own pace. The level of development then was rapid. I think that's important. But also, the question of appointments has been out there for a long time. We've seen progressively this administration, address that. About 2 weeks ago, we had a number of appointments made, and we saw the slant. But beyond that, I've said it before on Arise, that this is just 2 years down the road. There are quite a number of appointments that are out there that are also going to come. The balancing comes along the way. You don't get the balancing in one fell strip. But let me say this clearly. This is a president that is a statesman. This is a president, even though there's a perception of he being a Yoruba, running a Yoruba government, that is not true. Because when you look around, who are his closest political allies? Even from the list of those who gave honors today, you could see every section of this country had something. The South got respite from the Ken Saro-Wiwa and the Nine. The Southeast got vindication that was given to Humphrey Nwosu and others. The League of Democrats and journalists, the tribe of journalists, dead and alive, who fought during that time. So you see the kind of president we have, who has a national outlook and who would not deliberately play ethnic politics or play the ethnic card.
Underscore the word deliberately, but it can actually
happen. It's part of the Nigerian.
More towards people from his own ethnic.
Yeah, but he will not deliberately do that.
Okay, I take that point. Now, speaking of the South, on the issue of, there are quite a number of issues. Number one, the South youths are saying on the issue of Ken Saro-Wiwa, it really shouldn't have been a pardon because they did not, commit any crime against the state. That they would have preferred an exoneration, maybe even an apology from the government to say that Ken Saro-Wiwa was, unfortunately killed by the government. That's one. Then again, there's a missed opportunity. That's what the perception is of reinstating Fubara, the governor, the suspended governor of Rivers State. That why did the president not seize the day, Democracy Day, to really show that truly he is a Democrat by reinstating Governor Sim Fubara?
All right, let me answer the last question, and I will respond to that by saying that, very often we all try to write the script for Mr. President. We try to decide for him what he should do. But Nigerians elected him as president for a reason. December last year, during the presidential media chat, he said, you have given me the mandate. You need to allow me govern to the extent of my ability, to the point that you must trust his judgment. That's why he's the president. As per the timing, he can decide on the timing. Democracy does not start and end on Democracy Day. Democracy continues tomorrow. Decisions will be taken. Don't also forget, the imposition is for the stretch of 6 months. We're barely even done half of that stretch. And in his statement then, he said, we want to see, he wants to create an atmosphere for reconciliation. That process is ongoing. We've seen it. Rapprochement is ongoing between the various stakeholders. Why don't we give that the benefit that it needs and give the president that benefit of the doubt that he will do it? But to want to hold him down to say he ought to have done it today. And I think sufficiently what he did today will stand the test of time. for a very long time, you had a president who espoused the tenets of democracy, who spoke about the journey that has brought us to this point, who also held up the warning that if we want this democracy to survive, there are certain things we must do down the road. And I think that's critical. We had not just an inspiring message today, but we had a message that is truly Nigerian, a clarion call to say we're about something important. And this Democracy Day summons us all to a greater cause. And I think that's important. Quite a number of takeaways from that speech. And I think for the next several weeks, we're going to be speaking about
on the issue of Ken, so we were...
Yeah, let me speak about Ken. He also qualified that. He said he was exercising his prerogative of mercy. I was a journalist during the Abacha years with the news magazine and Tempo. And I know how we covered that event. We were very close with the environmental activists. Nigeria became a pariah state. All efforts were made to make sure that they did not go through the judicial kangaroo that occurred. And then unfortunately, they were hanged. What the president has done is through his prerogative of mercy, has pardoned them. Will somebody want to question that? Do we want to break that down into semantics? Who is the greatest, the bigger sinner who did a disservice to this country? Is it not that military leader, Abacha, who took them through a kangaroo court process and hung these gentlemen who were not guilty? So the fact that they were honored today...
Pardon connotes, you know, that they committed some kind of crime.
Well, we'll leave that for the legal experts.
Okay. Yeah,
but I think it's sufficient enough that you should imagine the time they suffered that fate. Abacha, imagine how many presidents have come down the line who did nothing about it. Okay. This president has done something about it.
Very quickly, as we wrap up, the president highlighted so many gains his administration has, mapped in the last 2 years. He also talked about his dedication to pluralism in the democratic space.
Right.
But millions of Nigerians are still grappling with declining standard of living. Looking forward very quickly, how does the administration hope to ensure that all of these gains trickle down? And is it concerned that despite the figures we're seeing churning out, Nigerians are still grappling with, inflation, food prices high, skyrocketing? How does it hope to merge the two in the next 2 years?
I think it's concerned. If you look at the part of his speech when he was talking about some of the gains and impacts, he talked about inflation coming down. He talked about the Naira stabilizing. He spoke about how to bring support to 400,000 of our youth in July through the credit core. He spoke about NEL Fund, 600,000 young people benefiting. After Awolowo's free education, we've never had that. Bursary disappeared. So these opportunities are being created. That shows a president who has instituted initiatives. You have the CNG and a couple of others. You have the health and human capital development. 5,000 primary health centers being reinvigorated. 1,000 of them already ongoing. So you see some of these initiatives, they are relatable because you're seeing people benefiting from them. I think the challenge going forward will be how to scale it up. It's a huge country. And unless there's scale and more millions of Nigerians are able to benefit from it, that's when the impact comes. And this president is mindful.
Very well said. Thank you very much. Sunday Dare, Special Advisor, Media and Public Communications to President Bola Tinubu. Thank you for joining us and happy Democracy Day again.
Thank you.